Hi everybody, Laura here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to be a part of the March release blog hop with Pinkfresh Studio, and I have a couple of fun projects to share with you featuring these exciting, innovative, and inspiring new products. I'm going to start foiling. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, I am a foiling newbie. Never done it before this. And as you can see, I've actually foiled my hot foil plate. That was not on purpose. That was because I made a few mistakes. But it's okay. The plate still works like a charm. You just got to make sure you got the foil laying the right way. So you actually put the foil on the cardstock and not on the plate. So I lay the foil rose gold face down, white cardstock, let it heat up. Then you put the shim, the plate, take it off when it's nice and hot, run it through the spellbinders. Now, depending on what kind of foiling system you're using, I have the spellbinders, and it works like a charm. Now, you just take it off, and look. I mean, here is the Folk Garden hot foil plate with rose gold on white cardstock. And I'm going to pair it with the Folk Garden stencil set, which comes with 4 stencils, and it allows you to color in all of these images with ease. Okay, and I'm going to start with some fresh pear. And I'm using these ink stands. These are by Brienne Loveland. She has an Etsy shop where she sells these ink stands. They got the mini size. We got the size for the full-size ink pad. There's even ones for the distress. I love them because they hold your ink steady when you're ink blending. Now I'm laying on the second stencil, which just gives you more detail with the greenery. And of course, you could do whatever colors you want. You don't even have to color them in at all. I think the foiling would look beautiful on some solid color cardstock too. But I did it on white because I wanted to do the stenciling, because I love to blend it like nobody's biz. So there you have the 2 shades of green. And then now I'm laying on the third stencil, which you can add a little color to the blooms. I'm doing sparkling rose, not going with a very heavy hand. I'm using these Alta New blender brushes, which in my humble opinion are the Cadillac of blender brushes. But then now for the dark one, I'm using one of the Gina K blender brushes because I only have like 6 of the Alta New. And you know, sometimes when you have small, you need to get a smaller brush for smaller areas. You know, I've got all the blender tools under the sun, and I love them all. It's a sickness. Okay, you could stop right there, but I'm going to kick it up one more notch using the Folk Garden die. And that die cuts all of these images, but before I popped them out, they all kind of held together. So I flipped it over, and I'm adding some little foam squares because dimension is life. And I know what you're thinking. Are you crazy? You added all those little slivers of foam tape? You know what? The heart wants what the heart wants. And you just pop it down, flip it over. It's a little tedious, but I feel like it's more than worth it in the end. Look at the shadow. Look at the lift. It's almost airy. Now for a sentiment, I pulled out some goodies, but some oldies. Leah's Ornate Uppercase and Heather's Lowercase Alpha dies. Just spelled out a simple hello and some solid color cardstock. I'm going to adhere this panel onto a white card base, which is Nina Solar White 110 pound. And then for a little bling, some Pinkfresh Studio jewels. And that is card number 1 coming at you. Okay, card number 2 features the Folk Art Birds hot foil plate. And as you can see, I foiled this one too. Oh, yes, I did with silver. I didn't mean to, but what are you going to do? Okay, so now that I know how to do it, you lay the foil, the pretty side down. And so the dull side should be facing up at you. I think if I had to do this again, I'd probably do it wrong. It's just one of those glitches in my mind. Don't ask me. Okay, I put on some white cardstock, let it heat up, put on the shim and the plate, take it off, and I run it through the die cutting machine. Now, when I was doing this, Emma came over. She was watching me, and she says, "Mom, can I please do that? You have to let me do one." So I let her do one, and I'll tell you what, she did a better job than I did. It's so easy, it's foolproof. Just as long as you lay the foil the right direction. And I'm going to trim this panel down. So any of that excess stuff that was around the edge, I'm going to trim the panel down. None of it's going to show. I'm going to add some color using the coordinating Folk Art Birds stencil set. And do a little aqua or ocean breeze on the birds, a little sparkling rose on the blooms. Up at the top, I did a couple in orange with peach fuzz and apricot, you know, just to spice it up. These are my most used colors. You probably already know that. Here's a little raspberry bliss, and that gives you that kick. I love that. A little clementine to pop up the orange blooms. And then now for some greenery. Back to the fresh pear. Going with a light hand. Can I just say, these new products are an absolute joy to work with. They really make you look like you know what you're doing. They make you look like you got your life together. You know what I'm saying? And very minimal effort. And it just comes together. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Before you know it, you're like, holy cow. I look like a master. I look like a card making master. and you know, like sometimes when I get products and I stare at them and I just don't know what to do. Well, when these came along, I'm like, oh man, it doesn't matter what you do. It's going to be magic. So I die cut all the pieces. I'm going to separate them and create my own arrangement. You know, you don't have to use all the, you know, the elements on one card. You could just use a couple or some or whatever toots your flute. For a sentiment, I'm going to ink up this Hugs from Afar, which is from the My Favorite Things to Say 2 stamp set. And, you know, I do have to pop it up, you know, because I have standards. I like to pop it up. So I'm popping up the birds. I'm keeping it kind of symmetrical, a little bit folky, but airy and spacious. I love the white space around everything. And I'm just tucking it. But that shiny silver gold really makes it look fancy schmancy. Perfect for a wedding, anniversary, but just like classy. Okay, popping up the panel, got a nice white border, and I'm going to stop right there. Hugs from Afar with the silver folk art birds. Card number 2. And there you have the 2 cards using these new March release products by Pinkfresh Studio. Make sure and check out the rest of the blog hop. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.